Hi everyone, today we are taking a look at the Insta360 X4 in low light situations. I praise the Insta360 for being a fun camera, but I wanted to see how it holds up its quality at the Skatepark of Zona Franca when the sun is already set. I love my Insta360, but I know it can get quite noisy in low light. I'll explain how I solve partially or entirely that issue, depending on the shots. I will be showing both modes, so single lens and 360-degree dual lenses, and I will do some tests with mainly ISO 640 and ISO 1200 with shutter speeds of 150 and 125. So yeah, I know I'm a pesty European using the PAL system and an expat in Barcelona, but at least I'm somehow productive. And if I bring you a test of the Insta360 X4, it's also because that model is still available and often discounted, so it's a good deal for your bucks in my opinion. No financial advice, but let's start with some static shots. Everything in this video is filmed in 4K or 8K for the 360-degree mode, but downscaled at export to 4K. I use a flat color profile at all time, no discrimination. And the white balance sometimes is manual, but I ended up often with the same value as the automatic white balance. By the way, the mic is actually insanely good for such a tiny device, even with the windy conditions. But let's focus on the image. We have 4 shots in dual lenses mode, so 360 degrees. So that's me, hands-free, and I've added the rotation in the studio app. All these shots are recorded in 8K, 25 frames per second, downscaled to 4K at export in the Insta360 app. Side note, I export in ProRes LT for faster editing and better quality. We start at ISO 640 and 150 shutter speed. Then we have ISO 1200, still 150 shutter speed. Now let's maximize the amount of light entering the sensor. We switch the shutter speed to 125. So now we have ISO 640 and 125. Note that the amount of light didn't change. You just have to choose between more noise and less motion blur, or less noise but more motion blur. I prefer ISO 1200 and 150 for shutter speed because I can always reduce the noise later, as I will demonstrate. Now we are at ISO 1200 and 125. Even if that sounds like the best configuration, I still prefer the shots at ISO 640 with the shutter speed at 150. I prefer less motion blur in my action sports video, unless I want to give it a particular effect. And honestly, I see the ISO 1200 and 125 shutter speed as oversaturated anyway. It looks nice at first glance, but I see some details in the highlights being absorbed in the clipping. So I'd rather add something like an exposure gain in Premiere and use Neat Video for some noise reduction. I may repeat myself a bit if you follow the channel, and you might be familiar with Neat Video. But I cannot downplay the importance of the noise reduction process, especially in conjunction with the Insta360 X4. Neat Video is the plugin I use since the dawn of time to reduce noise in my videos, and I ended up becoming an affiliate. If you like what it does, check out the link in the description. It helps the channel with no added cost to you, and honestly, I cannot recommend a better noise reduction plugin, and it covers most video editing software. Anyway, this footage is at ISO 1200, shutter at 125, with noise reduction applied, compared to the shot at 150 with an exposure gain, also with noise reduction applied. And I much prefer the latest one. It just looks more natural to me, and I correct the lack of light in post. Obviously, it's a matter of preferences. By the way, in that test, I used the default setting of Neat Video, meaning I let it calculate the best settings and I go with whatever it suggests. Okay, now that we've covered the dual lens mode, here are some footage in single lens mode, but with a bit of movement. Now a quick test in extremely low light, going out of the zone where the park is lit. Note that I didn't remove the lens protections in these shots, and it shows, because there are lots of glares all over the place. So yeah, if you film in low lights, might be worth removing the protection as I did for the other shots. Anyway, here is a clip at ISO 640. See, there's quite a lot of noise already. And I don't remember the shutter speed, but it should be 125. We switch to ISO 1200. Same idea. And here, there is even more grain and it's significant enough to process it. That's why I use the Need Video Noise Reduction, and once applied, for me, that seems usable. It's obviously not a Sony full frame with a f1.8 aperture, but that's already something to start maybe a YouTube channel or an Instagram account. Anyway, that's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace.